Hi YouTube viewers, this is Fossilsaurus. I'm bringing something, well, you know, I've said this multiple times. I said, bring something pretty special up right now, and it's another one of the unboxing. And of course, if you watch my videos, you know how my unboxings work. They are, for the most part, they are almost all previously opened because they had to be. And so some of them I have repacked to the degree, like just repacked right up the same way they were, some a little bit more. Some I don't want to say, oh, I just tossed them back in there anyway, because that sounds like it done carelessly, but wrap them up and so on carefully, but put them in a way that is nothing like it still was, or nothing like it was when it first arrived. And that last one is how this one is going to be. A lot of times people will pack things up so perfectly and so carefully, it's just impossible almost to get it right back exactly like it is. I'm trying to think of an analogy. There's plenty of things like that in life where, oh, it should fit right back in, or it should fit right back the way it is. Like, I mean, it's like it's like a puzzle. That's not the best analogy. There's, I mean, it's the same deal, and you'll see what I mean in a second. Yeah, I mean, this is very, if I flip it over, you'll see it's nothing like what it was when it was sent, but let us remove it from the box. I don't know why I don't just take these out completely outside of view and just bring the whole rock over. I guess I'm just trying to kind of show you that they actually were just boxed, kind of. I'm calling it an unboxing, so it might as well like give you as much of that as possible. But can anybody see anything on here? It's definitely here. I'll give you a hint. It's not that. It's that. Now, things like this are real special, and a lot of things, as cool as they might be, and as much as you'd love to see a beautiful three-dimensional physical fossil to hold, they don't come that way. This is Anomalocaris. There are lots of different kinds, and when you start looking through fossils to buy and for sale, you'll start seeing how many different kinds there are. I mean, you can see how many different kinds there are just by looking it up, but there are probably a dozen at least different general body shapes, and a dozen at least general different appendage shapes and forms. Some of them branch off into multiple things. There's actually filter feeder ones, which I do have. You got a brief glance at it in my multi-unboxing thing. But this is a very standard cliche, as it were, Anomalocaris appendage. This may not be the actual Anomalocaris canadensis, which is like the type Anomalocaris, the one that everybody is familiar with, that you see all the pictures of and you see in all the movies and videos and so on. But this is, if it's not, which it could be, it is an extremely close relative, close enough that it looks exactly the same. This appendage looks exactly the same. And like I was saying, although there's so many different looking ones, each form of appendage, of body, of whatever, has multiple different species that has that specific form of body, appendage, mouth, whatever. So I apologize that this is not the prettiest thing to look at. It's not the most, it's not the easiest to see, but it is one of the more impressive ones, I assure you. If you know what Anomalocaris are, you know that they are kind of shrimpy looking things, which is actually what the name comes from. The name literally means unusual shrimp, or unlike shrimp. A lot of people say weird shrimp, but that's not technically an exact translation. But this is one of the two little appendages from the face that they used to grab things, and then the mouth is right underneath there, and then of course the body comes back here, so they swim around kind of grabbing things. Now these were the world's first super predator. Hard to believe looking at it like this, but absolutely. The Cambrian period, where most animals were very small, probably, I mean, let's just say, I mean, most of them were just a couple inches, few inches in the most. Many of them were just a couple centimeters. You can see if a feeding appendage is this big. This was a relatively decent sized individual. Now, the largest of Anomalocaris, there's a giant filter feeder which got about 6 feet. The largest predatory ones, I believe, got a little bit over a meter. And that doesn't sound much like an apex predator, super predator. But keep in mind, when everything else is a centimeter, 2 centimeters, an inch, 2 inches, that's the Kraken. They're just... everything about them is so weird and amazing looking. I really hope that anybody who watches my videos, if you're not familiar with the animal I'm presenting, that they will go and look them up and at least look at some pictures, but preferably actually read about it and learn some stuff about it, because I mean, I don't want to say some animals are boring, but some animals are boring. And at least my preference is I'm not going to buy fossils that I think are from boring animals. So I would hope that most people would feel the same, and that most people would feel the animals that I am displaying for you guys are of interest, particular interest, are more than just like a standard dinosaur or reptile or Cambrian animal or whatever. But I mean, that's just my hope. Now, these guys are in the radiodont family. It's not the biggest family, and it does not have any surviving members. Now, these guys, the heyday was the Cambrian, and the Cambrian explosion was a time where life went from practically nothing to suddenly one of the most diverse times that the world has ever seen. I can't express how big. I mean, that's why it's called the explosion. That alone, that just term should give you an idea of the suddenness and the diversity and so on. Just an amazing event, an amazing time, potentially unequaled by any other time on the planet's history. Time where, I mean, obviously, like, goes without saying, but like above and beyond just the idea that everything alive sprouted from that time. If you really think about that, it's really impressive. It's more than just like, well, duh. It's more like, wow, really? Yeah. I don't know. It is to me. Now, these were long thought to. Well, let me start. Otherwise, these were, at first, nobody knew what they were. First thing ever found from them was this, and people thought it was a shrimp tail. There was also a round thing that people thought was a jellyfish, which they called the patoya. And then there was something big, which looked like another, like, large lobstery shrimp animal. It took them quite a while to eventually find a full specimen, and it turned out they were all separate parts of the same animal. The big thing was the body. The weird shrimp, which is the name, the appendages are what they named Anomalocaris, and that means weird shrimp, basically. And those were the appendages, and the pitoia or pitioia. I forget the pronunciation. I'm just gonna say pitoia. Was the very odd mouth that it had, which was like a camera shutter, but with very sharp shutters, like that. But then, like on each side, it had two sharp things, and they all came together and kind of could pinch or break pieces off. And many trilobites have little marks on them, like, well, they can be big marks that look like W's. They look like W's broken out of them, and that is from one of the sides of the Anomalocaris, the two sharp mouth parts from each side having gotten that trilobite. Now, back to what I started saying before. These were thought, along with lots of things, to have lived. These were from the early Cambrian, so throughout the entire Cambrian, and went extinct during the Cambrian extinction, which is at the Cambrian Ordovician split. Now, in the 1990s, very awesome. In Morocco, somebody found a site which had lots of animals that were from the Burgess Shale, and many that looked like they were just like a couple, like dozen million years evolved from it, which is a couple dozen million years after the known time. So that kind of spit in the entire theory of the Cambrian extinction. And it turns out, because this site was from 488 million years ago, which was well into the Ordovician, so that means that the Cambrian extinction never happened. These animals did not die out then. There were Anomalocaris relatives, some that looked the same, some that looked very different from that period. So these animals lived long after they have for many years, having been thought to have lived for. Now, the explanation for that, I could, and I'm considering right at this moment, I think I will make a little separate short video about it. So let me put an asterisk right now. Right after this, I'm going to make a little video explaining the mystery disappearance of time, or the Lazarus phenomenon. But let me, for now with this, I will go ahead and just kind of end this one here. This fossil is from the Jiangcheng province of China. Absolutely amazing piece. I have quite a few other Anomalocaris, but this is probably 10 times bigger than all except for one other specimen. Most of the specimen would be like the size of this curved piece right here, or like of that piece right there, and almost all of them are nowhere near as clear as this. They're clear enough to tell what it is, but this, I mean, there's a little bit missing right there, but this is almost a perfect impression, a perfect representation. This is probably one of the more beautiful ones that you'll see for sale of the predatory, super predator, standard cliche model. A lot of times you'll see beautiful pieces of the later, especially filter feeding ones, which were massive, and they have much bigger parts, so they fossilize much easier. But personally, I don't consider them as cool as the super predator previous variety, this one. So even among the Anomalocaris, which I find all amazing, even among those, I find this fossil particularly amazing. I should have done this one later so you could really appreciate it compared to the others, But eventually down the line, when I do the other ones, I hope that you'll come back and look at this one and really see what I'm talking about. So thank you all so much for watching my video. Please give me likes, please subscribe. It means a lot. It will help out a lot. And I hope to see you in my next video. Like I said, I'm going to give a short video right after this, but I mean, join me for that too, but join me for my other videos too, please. I hope to see you there. Take care.